Alright, today we're going to talk about fractional distance. So I'm going to start off by talking about yesterday's lesson, which was midpoint, and remind you that if I wanted to find the midpoint of AB, I could do one of two ways. I could do the formula, which was x plus x divided by 2, comma y plus y divided by 2. And then I would take the x's, 10 and 2, and the y's, 8 and 4. And then we could just reduce. 10 plus 2 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. 8 plus 2 is, that should be negative 4, I'm sorry. And then 8 plus negative 4 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and that is my midpoint. Now what if I wanted to find the midpoint of A to M? Could I do it again with these points? Absolutely. So then I would do the midpoint formula again. I'm just going to do it shortened. 6 plus 2 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. And then 2 plus negative 4 is negative 2, divided by 2 is negative 1. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1 would be the midpoint of the midpoint. And then I could do it for MB as well. So 10 plus 6 is 16, divided by 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So then I could go to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this was the midpoint. That means that's half of the way. So if I find the midpoint of the midpoint, how far is this? That would be 1/4 of the way. And the other midpoint of the midpoint would be 3/4 of the way. So if I'm ever asking you to find 1/4 or 3/4, you can just do midpoint twice. I hope that makes sense. Now, this next question, this is called fractional distance because we're finding a distance a fraction of the way. Now, if I started at point D and I wanted to know 1/4 the way, again, I could do midpoint twice like I just showed you. We could find the midpoint and then use that point to find these two. But I could also do something else. I could also do my rise over my run. And when I found midpoint, didn't we we figured out how long it was. So from here to here, that is 8 units. And from here to here, that's 6 units. And if I wanted midpoint, couldn't I just go halfway? Half of 8 is 4. Half of 6 is 3. And meet, and that would be my midpoint. But I don't want midpoint this time. I want 1/4 of the way. So what could I do? I could divide by 4, or that's the same thing as multiplying by 1/4. So I can multiply by 1/4. 1/4 of 8 is 2. 1/4 of 6 is 1.5. So now I could go 1.5 and then up 2, and that would be my new point. Now it's kind of hard to tell where it's at. So I want to go, if an ant started at D, what is the coordinate of 1/4 of the way to C? So I'm going from D to C. Point D is at -1, 1, right? I'm going right and up. I'm going this way from D to C. That's going right and up. So right is my x, that's plus. Up for my y is also plus. And then I want to go up 2 for my y and 1.5 for my x. So to find the exact coordinate, -1 plus 1.5 is just 0.5. 1 plus 2 is 3. Therefore, 1/4 of the way is 0.5, 3. And that looks about right too, 0.5, 1, 2, 3. Now, that may seem a little bit harder than just doing midpoint twice, so you might not want to do that. It's up to you. But it's not always going to be 1/4, 1/2, or 3/4. I could also ask you 1/3 of the way. So if you got this sheet from your teacher, this would be what you could copy on example 1 on this paper. This is the back. On this paper, you might want to copy this on example 1. Pause the video so you can plot the points, and then listen, and then copy it. So I want 1/3 of the way. So I'm going to do the same thing. And because it says JK, I'm going from J to K. So I'm going like this. Okay? So I'm going to do my triangle. And this is going to be 12. And this is going to be 9. Okay, so I want 1/3 of the way, so I'm going to do times 1/3 times 1/3. So that will give me 4, and that will give me 3. So that means, remember I'm going J to K, so I'm going to go right and up. So that means I could go right, 1, 2, 3, up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that 0, 1 would be 1/3 of the way from J to K. Now, the way I showed you before, you can still do this way, but X, Y. I'm starting at J. J is at -3, -3. I'm going right and up, so right is positive, up is positive. And then right, I'm going 3, up, I'm going 4. So that gives me 0, 1, which is what we got up there. Either way you want to do this works. If they're nice, pretty numbers right here, I would just use the graph. But they're not always going to be nice, pretty numbers, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So if you're still confused, watch it a couple more times. You'll see a couple more examples, and hopefully you'll catch on. Next one. This is number 2 on your graph paper. So plot this right here. Maybe pause the video. Plot this right here, and then watch what I do, and then copy it. So now it's no longer 1/3, it's 2/5. And for segment DE, so I'm going from D to E. Okay, so I'm going from D to E. So I'm going to make my right triangle. And this time I'm going down and right. So either way, I still need to figure out what I'm doing here. This would be 5. And this one's going to be 10. So I got to multiply them because it's 2/5 by 2/5. And that gives me 4. And that gives me 2. So again, I'm going down and right. So I could just go down 2, right 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my answer. I'm at 0, 2. Again, on a problem like this, you can leave it that easy. That's acceptable. However, if you want to make sure it works for every problem, I'm starting at D. I'm going from D to E. My point for D is -4, 4. So that's where I'm getting these first numbers. So on the problem before, J is where we started. That's how I got -3, -3. All right. For X, I'm going right. If I'm going right, that's positive. For Y, I'm going down. If you're going down, that's negative. And right here, I'm supposed to be going right 4. And remember, right and left, horizontal, that's your X. That's why the 4 goes here. Vertical, that's your Y. That's why the 2 is going to go here. And then that's going to give me 0 and 2, which is what we got up there. So we're getting the same answer. For number 3. This one's a little bit trickier, and you'll see why I showed you the other way a little while ago. Here, I want to go from B to A. Now, on the one before this, it didn't really tell me what to do. It just has segment DE, so I went from D to E. But here, it's literally saying B to A. So I'm going B to A. So I'm still going to do my rise and my run. My rise is going to be 10. And my run is going to be 7. Bye. No, it's okay. All right, and I want to go 5/7 of the distance. So I'm going to multiply them both by 5/7. And when I do that, this just ends up being 5. So it's nice and pretty. But in the calculator, when I do 10 times 5/7, I get this ugly number. So I'm just going to leave it 7.14. Okay? So I'm going B to A. I'm going down and left. Down and left. So I'm starting at B, because I'm going to B to A. I'm starting at B. That's at 3, 6. So I'm going to write X and Y. I got 3 and I got 6. Because I'm going down, that's my Y, down is negative. Because I'm going left, left is also negative for my X. And then, remember, this was your rise, so it goes with my Y. This is your run, so it goes with my X. 3 minus 5. So hold on, pause, sorry. I could totally go down from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then do the 0.14, and then go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is totally where it is. But do I really know that exact answer? No. So that's why I'm doing this right here. So 6 minus 7.1. So I don't want you to round. What I want you to do is go 6 minus. You can arrow up, and it'll highlight and hit enter, and it copies it. So now I have the exact answer. Now you can round. So then I'll get, so this one would be negative 1.14. And then 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So 5/7 from B to A is at point negative 2, comma negative 1.14. So let's do one more. For this one, I want 1/5 segment ST, so that's S to T. Rise over run. This is going to be 8, and this is going to be 7. I'm multiplying by 1/5. So 8 times 1/5. And you could use fractions, but I don't really need, decimals are better for me. Equals 1.6. 7 times 1/5 is 1.4. Okay, now I know how far to go. Again, could I go 1 and then 0.6 and then 1 and 0.4? Totally. But to get the exact answer, I want to go S to T. So I'm starting at S at negative 3, negative 2. S to T is going right, then up. So right is positive, up is positive. My X is 1.4, my Y is 1.6, and then I'm just going to put those in the calculator. Negative 3 plus 1.4 gives me negative 1.6. Negative 2 plus 1.6 gives me 4. So where is 1/5 of the distance? It's at negative 1.6, comma 0.4. Oh, sorry, negative 0.4. And does, oh, I did that wrong over there. Does that make sense? No. Why doesn't that make sense? What did I do wrong? I was going from T to S. So this one's wrong. You pay attention, S to T. So I got to go over 1.6, up 1.4. So that would make more sense. Oops, my bad. So if it's a decimal, do you have to plot it on the line? No, I'm not worried about that. That was just as a way to show it. I'm more worried about this answer right here. On the test, we're going to be more worried about that answer. All right, this is just a practice problem. So right here, I want you to find the point 2/3 of the way from I to G. So we're going I to G. Okay, so I'm going to draw my rise over run. And the rise is going to be 11. Ooh, this is going to be ugly. G is going to be 13. Okay? And it's 2/3, so I'm going to multiply by 2/3. And when I do that, 11 times 2/3 is 7.33. And 13 times 2/3 is 8.67. Now, starting at I, because I to G. I is at 7, -3. I'm going left, so it's going to be minus, and up, so it's going to be plus. Minus and plus. And then my X is 8.67, my Y is 7.33. And I would just do that in the calculator. Again, you can arrow up. So X is going to be 7 minus that number, which is -1.67. Y is -3 plus up there, which is 4.33. So my solution is -1.67, 4.33, and that is my answer. Alright, your teacher should go over a couple practice problems with you on Monday over the homework. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.